Good morning, everyone. Excuse me. Welcome to the stream. How's everyone doing today? This lovely Saturday. Whew, lovely my ass. So, if you're wondering why I'm saying that, it's because it's incredibly hot here in Washington. And when I mean that, I mean not like the temperature itself, but it is like sticky, humid, nasty. So yesterday here we had 90-degree weather, and it was incredibly hot, and everyone was sweating it up. Today it's not that hot, but like it's so sticky and humid, it's nasty. And we're not used to that. We're totally not used to that kind of humidity level. So I'm walking around here feeling like overheated and sticky and nasty in the house. I'm like, what do I even do to cool down? I don't know. So I turned on the air conditioner, pumped it all the way up, and I closed the door to try to keep it cool just in here. The rest of the house I'm trying to air out. I got the windows open. So, anyway. Ladies and gentlemen. Today is Saturday, the 31st of July, 2021. And ladies and gentlemen, today is a momentous day. Today is a groundbreaking, revolutionary day. That's right. I'm going to tell you why, guys. Because today, instead of following the usual formula that I usually do, I have decided to mix it up and change the formula. We're flipping the script. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not playing Skyward Sword today. Now, you may say to yourself, what? But Phil almost always follows a schedule. Almost every single stream that Phil does follows a strict schedule of what he's going to be playing when, and people have come to like that because they realize that, okay, I can tune into this stream and I'll be caught up on this playthrough and yada, yada, yada. All right. Well, I've decided to call an audible today. You might say, why is Phil doing this? Well, I'll tell you why. It's this simple. I'm bored. I've been playing The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD, alright? Personally, I feel the game is much better than the original Skyward Sword without the motion controls, alright? And personally, I think that the graphics are pretty good. They're not the best, obviously, but definitely much improved. I remember when I played Skyward Sword 10 years ago, those graphics were very pixelated for the time. And at a time when I'm playing everything in HD on like the Xbox 360, going and playing that on the Wii was very disappointing, okay? Now, here's the thing. Modern day version of this game is much better than the original, I feel. So if you never played the original Skyward Sword, if you missed out on it because it was a Wii game and you heard about the waggling Wii Motion Plus bullshit controls and you just didn't want to bother with it, and especially if you're a fan of Zelda, okay, I would strongly recommend that you check out the game. It's definitely worth it. It's a good game, and I like this version of it. But what's happening is, I've been playing this game now for about 2 weeks, and I'm noticing interest has dwindled monstrously. Like, less and less people are showing up. Every time that I play it, people are complaining, man, this game is boring. And listen, I can understand, because this is not a new release. Let's be honest here. Skyward Sword HD is not a new release. It is a re-release of a 10-year-old game, and we've already had a new version of Zelda in Breath of the Wild that I think a lot of people really enjoyed, that the game modernized and became a little bit different than what Skyward Sword was, right? So I totally feel like I understand where people are coming from. Now, it sucks because obviously I invested money into the game, right? That game was freaking $60. I'm serious. It was a full-priced $60 freaking dollars. So, does it suck that basically people aren't interested in it anymore? Yeah. But what can you do? That's life. And if this were a situation where I basically didn't have anything else to do, I'd be pretty disappointed. But the truth of the matter is, I have way more things to do than I have time for. Way more things to do than I have time for. People have been asking me for weeks to check out things on my Xbox Series X on Game Pass, and I've been saying, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. I promise you we're going to get there. And I'm just tired of waiting. I'm tired of freaking waiting. I'm not waiting any longer, okay? So, rather than continue on with Skyward Sword HD at this point and be bored when I know I've got games in the background waiting to be played. You guys have been asking me for weeks to check out stuff on Game Pass. I'm doing it. I don't care. I don't care. Today, we're doing it. Yeah! 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 All right. It's time to take life by the horns and grab it and spin it and twist it. What? Yes. When life hands you $60 remastered lemons, you grab those lemons by the horns and you spin and twist them. I have no idea what I'm talking about right now. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do today, we're going to do something different. And no, it's not going to be Fallout New Vegas. I'm playing more than enough Fallout New Vegas right now, thank you very much. And I am enjoying it, by the way, don't get me wrong. I'm having a lot of fun with Fallout New Vegas. Okay? But I don't want to be playing that every single day. I want to do some variety, right? Now listen up. Some people already, I know, we're going to be sad. They're going to be like, man, so that's it for Skyward Sword? I mean, at this point, I'll be honest with you. I'd rather do other stuff. I mean, I'm not, when it comes to a point where I come to self-realization, all right, I'm gonna be honest. And I thought about this morning. I'm setting up the stream, and I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, man, we're entering, what is it, the 4th dungeon of Skyward Sword? The game has what, like 9 dungeons or something like that? At least 6, if not 9. I can't remember exactly how many. Okay. And I'm setting everything up, and I'm thinking, I'm like, dude, I really want to check out, you know, these games. Like, for example, just some of the games off the top of my head that I would like to try. All right? The Medium. Game comes out in January for the Xbox Series X, and I never played it. I'd like to try it out. The Halo Master Chief Collection. I want to see how it runs on Xbox Series X. Everyone says it's amazing. More Grounded, which I only played for like 20 minutes during that Xbox Series X Game Pass stream. And I said, man, I would love to delve into that for like a major session and see what the game's really like when you give it a lot of time. The Ascent. This is a game that everyone is talking about right now because it just came out, what, 2 days ago? Although, admittedly, now that I've read reviews, I think the game is probably not going to be very good. But, again, no skin off my back because it's on Game Pass. I could at least try it out and see what it is, right? And that's just off the top of my head. You know, I was looking at with the games that I actually have installed. We got PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which you could give a shot and see if it's any good. We got Star Wars Squadrons, you know. We got a few, more than a few things here that I could easily just play right off the bat. And then on top of that, if you remember that Game Pass stream that I did, we could go through and look at all those games that I had marked for download later. I don't know where exactly they show up, but we could find those and we could maybe download a few of those, right? And we could try out some of these games, okay? But anyway, that's kind of what I'm thinking is, I hate to say it, Skyward Sword makes sense, but the Series X kind of trumped it. Like, if I didn't get the Xbox Series X, all right? I want to talk to you guys in person. I'm so close. If I didn't get the Xbox Series X, I'd be perfectly happy playing through Skyward Sword HD. Admittedly, I know some of my audience would be disengaged because they think the game's boring. But I'd be very happy to just go through and play it. But I've got something sitting here. I'm sitting on what I feel is a proverbial gold mine of content. Tons of variety of content. New game after new game that we could be testing out and trying and figuring out what is it that I really want to do for a playthrough in the next couple of weeks. Because keep in mind, the next major game coming out is Hades. And that's the second week, the end of the second week of August. I've got 2 weeks to do whatever. So why am I sitting here playing Skyward Sword HD and kind of being a little bored? And my audience, half of them is at least bored, when I have stuff sitting right in front of me that I can be doing. I mean, take a look at this. Hold on. This is just what I'm looking at a glance. And I'm like, okay, we can boot the Ascent, right? Grounded. Halo. I mean, Knockout City. It was okay. I didn't play it for another 20 minutes. The Medium. People are dying for more Flight Simulator right now, you know? And Battlegrounds, and that's just some of the stuff, like I said. We could easily just go to what I tagged, because I know I tagged like 20 games, right? I tagged like 20 games for us to check out. Why am I wasting time with Skyward Sword? I've already played it. And that's the other thing I want to emphasize, too. I've already played Skyward Sword. I know it's a good game. I liked it 10 years ago. The improvements to having different controls and a better graphics obviously are massive improvements and make it feel like a more modernized game. But I already know the whole game. I know at the end of the game that, what's his name, the villain, fuses with the stupid prisoner, and then it becomes, he basically becomes Proto-Ganondorf or whatever, and you fight him, and that's the origins of Ganondorf and shit. I already saw the game. I already played it. I remember it. the ending. So for me to be like focusing in on that game when I've got all this other content I could be doing, I feel stupid at this point. I mean, I've done it for 2 weeks. I'm like, I just don't want to care anymore. Like, I don't want to wait. I have 2 weeks to work on this before new releases start coming out. Why am I going to delay? Why don't I just dive head first into my Xbox Series X, okay? And 2Block2 says, well, why didn't you do that before? It's a good question. I'm a guy, and you can ask my wife about this, she will tell you. I'm a guy that likes to plan ahead, likes to adhere to schedules, and likes to have, like, a set roadmap of what he's going to do. That's why I have a schedule I post up every day on Twitter, and I say, okay, here's all the streams, here's what I'm covering, blah, blah, blah. Once I start a project, unless I really don't like it, I don't like to drop it. I'm kind of a stickler like that. Like, you've seen, there's been some games that people don't necessarily love, but if I'm enjoying the game, I like to keep going. Skyward Sword, I am enjoying. I'll be honest with you. I like Skyward Sword, all right? But if people are really that bored with it, then I want to do what you guys want, because I'm excited to try this stuff, too. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not that, oh, I'm just doing this because this is what you guys keep asking for. I also am dying. I've had this console sitting here for 3 weeks, and I haven't freaking done anything with it. I'm like, why am I waiting for? Why am I only playing Fallout New Vegas on this fucking thing, right? So, that's what we're doing today. Now, how are we going to go about doing this? Essentially, what we should do is after pre-stream ends, because I got some stuff to talk about on pre-stream today. Holy shit. After pre-stream ends, what we could do is go through together, do like a Game Pass stream, and what we'll do is go through these stuff that we have here, or we can also look at the games that I already marked as other games I want to download, and we can say, okay, you should download these because you should check these out too in the next week or so. And we'll do all that, and then we can play a few of them, okay? So, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we'll do it, it'll be an interactive stream, we'll do it together, we'll figure out what I'm going to do together, and go from there. There's no reason for me to keep playing Skyward Sword HD at this rate. I mean, first of all, I think I'm entering the 4th of, like I said, I think the game has at least 6, if not 9 dungeons. I can't remember. I'm about to enter the 4th, and it's like, everyone's bored. Why are you playing this? Please do something else. And it's like, all right, I mean, I'm going to give you guys what you want, especially because it's ready. It's lined up. It's ready to go, you know? So that's what we'll do. It's going to be a Game Pass stream today. Will we only do 1 game? Will we do 3 games? Will we do 10 games? I don't know. It's really up to you guys. Like I said, we'll start going through the dashboard and going through what I've got. And like I said, maybe if you guys know how to look at the games I've tagged for future download, because I tagged like 10 or 20 of them, and maybe say, oh, out of those, which ones should I start downloading right now? Because all these games are already downloaded if available. Obviously, Back 4 Blood is not out yet. Forza 5 is not out yet. So those games are here, but they're not downloaded yet. But some of these games are downloaded and raring to go. Ah. Cool. Okay, so, sorry, I got a text. That being said, this should be fun. All right. So let's see what's gonna happen today. All right. This is exciting because it's not something that I usually do. All right. Obviously, usually I have a set stuff that I'm doing on every stream, and it's exciting to not have that. It's exciting to have more flexibility and to try out a bunch of stuff. Okay. So the purpose of today's stream, all right, will be to try out a few things on Game Pass, and maybe determine out of the things that are available on Game Pass what things you guys would like to see in the next couple of weeks. Because that's the deal, is the next couple of weeks, I have kind of open, besides Fallout 4, I'm open to do whatever until new releases start hitting in August. And just so you guys know, the new releases in August are as follows. Hades on August 13th, 12 Minutes on August 19th, the Ghost of Tsushima expansion, Ghost of Ikishima on the 20th, Psychonauts 2 on August 25th. Those are the major ones that I'm looking to play this month. Originally, Kena, or Kena, I don't know how to pronounce it, Bridge of Spirits was supposed to be August 24th, but that got delayed, so that's not coming out till September now, so that one's kind of out of the picture now. Okay? So, I hope that this sounds good to you, and this sounds better to you than Skyward Sword. Now, you might say, well, what's going to happen with Skyward Sword? You want to know the truth? I don't know. If there's enough demand for it, I would consider continuing Skyward Sword at a later date, or maybe doing it as a night stream. The problem is, I know Zelda games are incredibly long. Like, if this really is the 4th of 9 dungeons, right? Do you have any idea how long it would take me to beat that game if I do it in 2-hour night streams and I do it maybe once or twice a week? Probably like 3 months. And guess what? Once new releases start hitting, they take priority, so that means that game would just basically sit on the back burner. So I really don't know. I really don't know what to do with it. I feel bad dropping it, because I am enjoying it, and I know there's viewership for it, just not a lot. You know? It's one of those games that's kind of like, I understand that, you know, I feel, here's what I feel. If this were a situation where there was like a high-profile new release right now, and that was taking up a lot of the mainstream viewership's attention, okay, great. Then I could play Skyward Sword as a side project, but right now there's no new releases. So because of that, it's kind of like, I'd rather focus in on the things people are asking me for than the game that almost no one is asking me for, even if I'm liking it, you know? So there you go. The Recluse says, you're playing too many RPG adventure games, one of them is going to break the camel's back. So there you go. And that's true too. Swaggin says, don't feel bad if people want to watch the Skyward Sword, they can watch your original playthrough. And that is true. The original playthrough is live right here on DSPGaming. 10 years old, but it is live and you can watch it. I mean, yeah, it's on the Wii. The controls suck shit. And the graphics don't look great because I'm using the camera, but the original playthrough still exists. That is true. So there you go. Alright, so that is what we're doing. So let's talk now about the rest of the week. So today is going to be a Game Pass stream where basically we go around and look at the Game Pass games, maybe try a few and just determine which ones are good enough to maybe continue playing in the next week. Tonight, it's the continuation and the end game of Mass Effect 3 Legendary Edition. Some people are like, well, why are you still playing that then? Because we're in the end. We're actually at the end of the game. There's maybe a few hours. I'd argue 2 to 3 night streams left, and we've beaten Mass Effect 3 Legendary Edition. That's not one I'm dropping because we've gotten so damn far in it. There's no way I'm going to drop it at this point. Okay? So, that being said, tonight we will continue Mass Effect 3 and push as far as we can. I'm going to try to beat it as quickly as I can, too. Okay? Tomorrow, Fallout New Vegas, and that's going to be paired with Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I guess I should preface this by saying that means we're not doing Flight Simulator today because it's already in the schedule. It's already in the schedule as a regular game that I'll be playing for the foreseeable future, so there's no reason to play that today. Okay? Unless you guys absolutely demand it. If you're like, oh, we want nothing else but Flight Simulator, then maybe I'll play it, but we'll see what happens today. Okay? On Monday, it was going to be it was going to be Fallout New Vegas, but if today we choose a couple games, let's say we choose 2-3 games that you guys really like, and you're like, yeah, let's do more of these, then maybe what I'll do is one of those games will actually be the major stream on Monday instead of Fallout New Vegas. Okay? Ooh, excuse me. Woo! So, we'll talk about it, alright? We will. We'll talk about it, and we'll figure out today, and that'll determine what Monday's main stream is. And then Monday night, again, will be more Mass Effect 3, again, as we push to finish the game. Okay? Tuesday, I'm off from streaming. When I return on Wednesday, it'll be more Fallout New Vegas, and the late stream on Wednesday night was going to be more Microsoft Flight Simulator. Okay? Thursday, I guess what we'll do this week now is we'll alternate between Fallout New Vegas and stuff on the Xbox Series X. So again, once we've hammered down today kind of what playthroughs you guys might want to see in the next week, that'll determine what games I'm playing. So Thursday will probably be Game Pass stuff. Excuse me. Okay? And then, you know, Friday night is the usual Street Fighter stuff. So that's what we're going to do. For the next couple of weeks, we're basically going to play it by ear, and we're going to juggle a few different things on Game Pass and balance that with Fallout. And by the way, also finishing up Mass Effect 3 as soon as possible. Okay? Fair enough? Okay. Fair enough. That's what we're doing. That's the schedule for the week. And again, I apologize that the schedule is now uncertain. Usually I don't mix stuff up like this, but I just felt like things were getting stagnant and boring and people weren't liking Skyward Sword. And I'm like, well, then why am I going to keep doing it, right? Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Snow Carl's now complaining because he's saying it's too many games. Listen, Snow Carl, Mass Effect 3 will end within 2 to 3 streams. That's one game done. I'm quitting Skyward Sword at this point. That's another game done. So really, the only ongoing playthroughs I will now have is Fallout New Vegas and Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's it. I don't have anything else going on for the next 2 weeks. That opens my schedule completely to check out at least a couple of other games. Now stop that foolishness immediately. How dare you? How dare you, sir? Okay. Alright. So, there you go. That's what's going on, man. Alright? Now, I'd like to say a few things. First of all, whoever was here last night, alright, for the Street Fighter stream, I kind of want to apologize because that was a chaotic stream and it wasn't anyone's fault. So here's what happened last night for those who don't know. PayPal went down completely. Like, no one at all could do anything with PayPal. You could log in, but if you tried to do anything else with PayPal, you got an error. And the entire internet this happened. Now, first, I didn't know that, because you guys got to understand, I've been under so much abuse and attack over the past few years, I thought maybe someone was fucking with me and someone was trying to screw my livelihood. Because this has happened before, if you guys remember. The whole reason that I had to switch from Gamepass, what am I talking about? The whole reason that I had to switch from Streamlabs to Stream Elements for taking tips is because Streamlabs shadow banned me and never explained why. I asked and they never even responded to me. And I'm like, huh? Like, how can you just ban someone and not even talk to them and tell them what's going on? Apparently they don't give a fuck. Okay? So then I went to Stream Elements and I particularly talked to them before I started using them. And I said, hey guys, for some odd reason, I got shadow banned from Streamlabs. I don't violate any rules or anything. So just so you know, I want to use your service. And they actually wrote me back and said, don't worry, we're very thorough and we don't just ban people for no reason. We will let you know if anything's going on or whatever. So I guess they proactively knew there would probably be shitheads trying to fuck with my livelihood and stuff. And I've been using Stream Elements now for many months and I never had an issue with it. Okay? But that being said, I was worried that someone had screwed me over and I'd gotten kicked out of Stream Elements or something. I didn't know what was happening. But apparently it was an internet-wide thing for over an hour. PayPal was completely down. And I want to say thank you to anyone who was here on that stream and, number one, put up with that chaos. Because it was like 45 minutes of chaos and confusion. No one knew what the hell was going on. And then on top of that, a lot of people stepped up and actually did really large super chats. And I just want to say thank you if you were one of those people who was here and put up with that. But also, in particular, thank you to those who contributed. Because those are some very, very generous super chats that will help me in August when I get paid by YouTube. And thank you for that. You didn't have to do that, and people did. They went out of the way to support me anyway. Okay. So thanks for that. If you want to see the gameplay from last night, it is live on DSPGaming right now, but the whole first 45 minutes is a fucking mess. It really is. The second, 90 minutes, the last 90 minutes is great. I finally got into matches. I was, running there. Some people were beating me up, which was actually rare that happens, but it was actually good matches and stuff. So I was having a good time. Once we got into the swing of things, it just sucked that it took so long to get into the swing of things because of the snafu there, okay? So that being said, one thing I want to say is thank you, everyone, for your support. In fact, just this moment, Tsunami Carl became a standard supporter of the channel. We are currently at the record highest number of members ever, 228, and climbing. We're getting more and more members by the day. This is excellent. Thank you guys so much for the channel support, and the fact that the channel is seeing some growth is excellent. I really appreciate that. All right. Now, let's briefly talk about how you can contribute and support the streams before I get to some news that I'd like to talk about, and then we can, get to our Game Pass shenanigans here. Okay? Sound good? All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy my content, if you enjoy my streams, if you like myself and my personality and the stuff that I put out and the fact that I chill with you every day when I can, if you like all this and you want to see it continue, there are many ways that you can contribute and aid me in my endeavor to continue doing this for a living. All right? Please understand that I am an independent content creator. I do not have a contract with any company to stream on their site. I do not have a partnership agreement with anyone. I do not have a sponsorship agreement with anyone. None of that exists. I'm just a guy like you, streaming on the internet, having fun, chilling, sharing my gameplay experiences with you on a daily basis, and it's really because of your crowdfunding efforts that allow me to continue to do what I love for a living. Alright? It really is 100%, You know, it's you guys, thanks to you. Over these 13 plus years that I've now been doing this, it's all because of your support, and I'm so grateful for that, all right? How can you directly aid the streams? Well, you can become a channel member, which has many different benefits, including getting a highlighted name in the stream chat, getting access to emotes, making it so that you don't get slow mode effects on your chat. You can chat as much as you want, and you get a cool chat crown badge to show how long you've been a supporter. Okay? It's pretty awesome. All right? Or you can do a super chat or a super sticker. If you do that, you get a highlight in the chat, and I'll give you a shout out during the stream. And, you know, as long as you're being positive and abiding by the rules, I'll respond to what you're saying. Or you can tip me. Now, being very matter of fact about this, tipping me is probably the best way to contribute, because when you tip me, those are funds that I get immediately. Those are funds that could go towards bills, of which there will be a few this coming week because it's the first week of August. When you tip me, I can put that towards my day off, buying groceries, right? Doing stuff with my wife, like going out for a nice meal, the one meal a week that we actually get to go out and enjoy together, all right? That's what the tips go towards, okay? If you do tip me, I will give you a shout out as well. And we'll be doing a running tally of tips on the stream. We have 3 reward tiers for the amount of tips that are raised. If I raise $50 of tips, I will put on my gunner glasses. If I raise $100 of tips, I'll put on a vest of your choice. Excuse me. The vests today are as follows. You ready for this? I hope you're ready. The beige, the red, the platinum, and the gold. Beige, red, platinum, gold. Those are your 4 vest selections for today if we raise $100 of tips. You guys will get to vote on what one you want to see. Okay? And then if we raise $150 of tips, which is the overall goal for the stream, I'll put on my silly cowboy hat. And that is the final reward. If we get anything above that, I'm grateful, but you know, that's where the rewards end. All right? So, thank you in advance to anyone who contributes on this stream. Contributions are not mandatory, nor are they expected, but they are greatly appreciated because, again, it's really my primary source of income. The only other income I get 2 other sources of income. Ad revenue on my videos on YouTube, which is okay, but not a great amount of money, just being honest. And Patreon, which also, it's very, very small in comparison to what I make here via crowdfunding, but it's still a nice way that people do support me every month. And I appreciate people who do pledge to my Patreon. Thank you very much. In fact, tomorrow is the first of the month, which means patron pledges will be going through. I'll be contacting patrons on patreon.com to let you know, what perks you qualified for and how to get them, etc., as we do every month on Patreon, okay? But anyway, please consider contributing, and thanks in advance to anyone who does. As I already said, Tsunami Carl have become a new channel member, and we did get a tip here from Snow Carl. I might as well read the tip from Snow Carl first. I have news to talk about, but I'll do this first. He tipped me $1.30, and I have to sneeze. Hold on. Excuse me. Okay, so Snow Carl is our first tipper of the day. And Snow Carl says the following. My 9-year-old cousin who called me last night said he's never playing Minecraft again. He read on Twitter, Notch is a fucking Nazi. Proves that virtue signaling is more important than the quality of your game. I don't think he's a Nazi. I think he has very controversial takes on things. He even criticized his own game. He said Minecraft, like, at one point he's like, I think Minecraft, like, jumped a shark or something like that. Like, he's saying his own game, the one game he ever made that was popular, is, like, no good anymore. It's like, dude, you sold your game. You understand that, right? Like, you sold it to Microsoft for them to do whatever they wanted because you wanted to be rich. So, it's kind of hard. It's a little bit weird that he's criticizing his own games. Like, dude, it's your fault that the game was like that. I don't know about anything else about the guy. I do know people hate his takes on Twitter and basically have crapped all over the guy over the years. Ever since he sold Minecraft, basically people hate him now. But anyway, to not play Minecraft is kind of silly because of the views of this guy. Because number one, as I've said many times over the years, I think that if you are someone who is mature, okay, you should be able to separate art from the artist. And I'm not saying you absolutely have to support the artist. What I'm saying is you can respect art for what it is. Okay? There are many movies out there that have been made by controversial directors who have weirdo shit going on in their personal fucking lives that people disagree with and are like, what the fuck is going on? Does that mean that every movie they've ever made is trash? You know? So, really, honestly, it really is case by case, in my opinion. I'll give you a perfect example about this. Okay? Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby, who at one point was known as America's Dad, was very famous for a sitcom known as The Cosby Show, as well as stand-up comedy, did a few movies, etc. Then all of a sudden, scandal breaks out. This guy is a sexual predator. This guy has drugged and raped women, yada, yada, yada. So does that mean that everything Bill Cosby ever did was bad? You know, does it? So the question is, when you find out that the character of someone who is an artist is bad, or not in line with what you agree with, does that mean that all the art that they've created is now bad? Okay? I feel that you can really not like Notch and not like his takes on life and politics and everything else, but you could still like Minecraft. Like, that's okay. You know what I'm saying? But in addition to even going further than that, okay, Notch doesn't own Minecraft anymore and hasn't for a very long time. He sold it off a while ago and has absolutely zero impact on the game anymore. So for people to say, "Oh, I'm not gonna play Minecraft because I found out Notch is, like, you know, a bad guy," he's not making Minecraft. Like, the product has not been his for a very, 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 very long time. You know. So I don't even understand how you can make that association. That's kind of weird to me. Okay. But hey, to each their own. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, a couple things to talk about today. All right? The first news story I want to talk about is actually gaming related. So, I know that you guys will, I know that you guys will be maybe a little, I don't know, how can I say? All right, let me just tell you what I want to talk about. The Ascent. Okay, I want to talk about this new game, The Ascent. Came out a couple days ago on Game Pass for the Xbox Series X. It's an indie game. It's not high profile, high budget game. All right, made by a much smaller studio than what you would see games, AAA games pumped out of and stuff like that. Okay. So everyone's talking about The Ascent. Everyone on social media is in love with this game. Oh my God, this game is amazing. This game is so good. And then you look at the reviews, and the reviews say otherwise. If you actually take a look at the reviews, they're putting it in around a 60 out of 100. Okay? So what is The Ascent? Let's talk about it a little bit. All right? It is a thumbstick shooter. If you don't know what that means, essentially it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys ever played this game. I did, because I grew up in arcades. Smash TV. The premise of Smash TV is as follows. You're on a reality show, and the reality show is extremely violent. All right? You're thrown into an arena. All right? And in this arena, you have endless waves of enemies coming at you, trying to kill you. And we're talking humans with bats, people with chainsaws, people with guns, and also robots, monsters, all kinds of shit. You have to survive. That's the premise of the game. And you go through room after room, killing waves and waves of enemies, collecting items, keys, and trying to traverse your way through. There's big boss fights, which are pretty cool. I actually really liked Smash TV back in the day, okay? But Smash TV was meant to be a quarter muncher, okay? The reason the game was designed that way is because they knew it would take incredible amounts of skill to survive the waves and waves of enemies and eventually beat the game. I mean, I actually beat it in arcades, and I would argue it probably cost me between 10 and 20 bucks to beat. It's that much of a quarter muncher, okay? But that's the point. That's how it was designed that way. Now, when I say dual thumbstick, what I mean is think about a gamepad, okay? I'll actually show you this. Hold on. Here's the Xbox Series X gamepad. The left thumbstick is used to control your character and move them around the screen. The right thumbstick shoots a weapon or a gun in 360-degree movement. So you could shoot in any direction at any time, allowing you for really good maneuverability. When these enemies are coming at you from all angles, you could be turning and twisting and shooting and defending yourself from any direction. Now in Smash TV, there were power-ups and things you could use, like shields, bombs, and things. So if enemies got near you, you could knock them away. That way they don't hit you, okay? So that's the premise of a thumbstick shooter. One thumbstick controls your movement, one thumbstick controls your shooting and or the attacks and the direction that they go, okay? So the reason I bring this up is because right now, 1 or 2 days into the release of the game, everyone is praising the Ascent, saying they absolutely love this game, and basically, oh my god, it's so good, alright? But if you actually read reviews from people who actually beat the game, we're talking played like 20 to 30 hours of the Ascent, okay? What people are actually saying is, yes, the game is good for the first maybe 5 hours, and then after that, you realize that's the whole game. The entire game is tediously going through stage after stage, trying to defend yourself from endless waves of enemies. Yes, there's RPG mechanics to it. You can level up your character, you can get better weapons, you can get better stats. So that's a good thing, but ultimately the game doesn't feel rewarding because every time you beat a challenge, you know you're on to the next challenge that's exactly the same as the other ones you've already done. That's the whole game. Like, it's not a game where there's variety or anything. That's the whole game. Now, here's the thing. In the 1990s, that formula worked. Why? Because it was an arcade game. It was an arcade game meant to be a quarter-munching game. And it was meant to be something that you go to the arcade, you play for like an hour, you've seen the whole game, and you're done. Right? This is an actual 20 to 30 hour long gameplay experience. And apparently from the reviews that I've read, it doesn't hold up at all. Like I said, the first few hours seem fun and refreshing when you're first starting, but once you're reaching like hour 10, you're like, oh god, nice. It's the whole game is this. It's just grind, 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 grind. And apparently there's no payoff. There's never a moment in the game when you feel, oh my god, everything paid off. Look how overpowered I am now and I'm mowing through. It's more just like grind, grind, grind. Oh, next grindy challenge, next grindy challenge, next grindy challenge. Okay? Now here's the thing. I personally feel, and this is my take, and you could disagree, this is where I think some people are going to be, oh, I disagree with Phil. I personally feel the reason that you're seeing so much praise for the Ascent on the internet right now is a simple reason. It's on Game Pass. That's it. No one, and I mean this, no one is buying this game. Everyone has a Game Pass subscription and is playing it under Game Pass. Okay? If it wasn't on Game Pass, no one would be buying this game. At least 30, 40, 50 bucks, whatever they charge for it, right? But since there's zero risk, that's why people are playing it right now. Now, admittedly, here's what's going to happen, okay? Once people get 10 hours in and they realize the game is incredibly repetitive and grindy and there's really no payoff for any of it, they're going to drop it. I would be very interested to see statistics on how many people who are playing the Ascent actually beat it. Or how many people who are playing the Ascent drop it after like 5 to 10 hours and never go back to it. That's actually what I would like to see, because we're seeing all these reports now of, oh my god, this game is a bestseller, this game is a bestseller, bestseller, bestseller. Do you guys remember when Sea of Thieves released? Microsoft actually had the balls to say Sea of Thieves was like one of their best-selling game releases of all time. Sea of Thieves at the time was the first Game Pass game. The actual first. Game Pass released, and then everyone got Sea of Thieves under Game Pass for free because Game Pass had a free trial. Yet Microsoft had the fucking balls to say it was a bestseller when no one bought the fucking game at that point. Now, by the way, I'm not saying people have it long term, because they have. A lot of people actually went and got it because the game has content that's been added to it over the course of, 3+ years? But at the time of release, that game was a ridiculous joke. It had no content. It had nothing of note. It was a completely boring, empty world devoid of any kind of valid gameplay that you would want to do for more than just a couple hours. Yet Microsoft actually fucking claimed that it was one of their best-selling games because it was under Game Pass, okay? So what I feel is happening with the Ascent is that because people have Game Pass right now, everyone has jumped on the bandwagon of the Ascent, all right? Everyone who has Game Pass got it and is playing it right now. They may not finish it. In fact, I would argue probably most of them won't. But because it's Game Pass, there's no risk. So check it out, right? Now, what happens then is you get a bandwagon mentality. So now you got people who maybe are on PC. Now, I'm trying to think because this is not on Sony consoles, correct? It's only on Microsoft and PC. So you get people who jump on this bandwagon mentality, okay? And they're like, oh, everyone else is playing the Ascent. I got to play the Ascent too. But I don't have, I'm not doing Game Pass. So then they go and they buy it on Steam or they buy it wherever. And then they get what's called buyer's remorse. They play for a few hours and say, oh shit, this game's repetitive. And then they fucking refund it. Or they play it for 5 hours, now they're fucked because they played it too long, they can't get a refund. Okay? By the way, I'm not shitting on the game. I haven't played it. I don't personally know if what these reviews that I read said are true. You can't always trust these reviews 100%. You can't. Okay? But the point I'm making is, this summer is really the beginning of Game Pass being a major factor in the gaming industry. I feel that. And just in the next month, the following games are going to be under Game Pass. We already have Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now we have The Ascent. Then we've got Hades, 12 Minutes, and Psychonauts 2. Okay? Moving forward, I believe, let's see here. Back 4 Blood. I think Age of Empires 4 is included. I'm not 100% on that. And Forza Horizon 5 as well. All those games are going to be under Game Pass. Okay? So what you're going to see is, I guarantee you when those games release, you're going to see a ton of hype. A ton of people talking about those games. Will people actually like them long term? Will people actually play them long term? Or is this a new kind of era we're entering where you're going to see hype over every single game under Game Pass just because it's under Game Pass for free, and they'll all be hyped up for, a week or so because people were playing them because they're not spending any extra money, but they're getting a new game. You see, I think the Game Pass will change the landscape of gaming in that it's no longer a big investment of money to check out new games anymore. So anything under there will be hyped for many days until the next thing. You see what I'm saying? Now, you could disagree with me, and that's okay. But as an outsider to the situation, I'm looking at the perspective of, no one was talking about the Ascent at all until it was announced that it was under Game Pass. All of a sudden, when it was announced under Game Pass, oh, look, that game looks good. Man, that game's under, I can't wait to play it under Game Pass. Now it's out, right? And people are playing it and liking the first few hours, but reviewers are completely in the opposite boat of these people saying, no, actually the game's not that good if you play the whole thing. It's just very repetitive and boring. But the people who were playing it under Game Pass didn't get that far. They only played a few hours because the game just came out. Okay? Now again, I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe the reviewers are just off-base assholes again. Who knows? But I'm just saying, this is unique. I've never seen this really happen before. I feel that this is a very unique time that we're entering into, where we're gonna have to try out games for ourselves. And here's the thing: if you guys want to see me try the Ascent, I'm open to it. Listen, I like Smash TV. I really do. I like that arcade guy. There was a sequel too. Was it Smash World or something? There was Smash TV and there was another one. There were 2 Smash TV games. I like both of them. I thought they were both outstanding games. I'm okay with playing that style of game. I just don't know about playing it for 30 hours. Those are games that you sit down, you play them for an hour. Okay, that was grueling. It was challenging. It was fun. I don't know about playing it for, a serious game playthrough that's going to be like 20, 30 hours long of the same shit over and over. Okay? No, the sequel was not called Smash Mouth. No. How dare you? How dare you even suggest that? Okay. Yeah, Smash TV was also released on Super Nintendo. That's correct. Okay. So that was the first story I wanted to talk about today. The other story I want to talk about, 90% of you probably will not give a shit, but as a fan of wrestling for most of my life, even though the last year or two I haven't really followed along and watched any of it, I feel like I have to comment today. Alright? Ladies and gentlemen, this morning, WWE officially released Bray Wyatt from the company. Bray Wyatt. The guy who's pretty much one of the most original, intelligent, interesting, creative guys to be in that company for over a decade, was released from WWE today. Okay? I mean, what the fuck? Now, here's the thing. You may not know this, but Bray Wyatt has not been well this year. Apparently, again, these are all rumors, but the rumor is, alright? The rumor is that since the passing of Brody Lee earlier this year, in, what was it, January? That essentially he has not been in his right mind. That it actually hit him so hard because he was one of his closest friends in life that he has just not been in the right mind to wrestle, to be creative, anything. Like, people close to him are saying he basically has been really screwed up over the loss of Brody Lee. And he's not the only person, obviously, but, you know, this guy was one of the closest guys to him, the Wyatt family, right? They were a close-knit group in the WWE for a very long time, and they kept reforming and stuff over the last decade. And so, there was a return of Bray Wyatt / The Fiend earlier this year. In a build-up to WrestleMania, a program between him and Randy Orton. And it was weird because I didn't see the match, but I saw highlights of it on Twitter. And the match was so weird at WrestleMania because everyone thought The Fiend was winning. Everyone thought The Fiend was going to win. Okay? And he didn't. He lost the match to Randy Orton at WrestleMania in what appeared to be a squash match. Like what the hell happened? Like, it looked like The Fiend should have absolutely won, and it was like a throwaway match where Randy just wins out of nowhere. At the time, everyone was very, very critical of WWE and said, what the hell are they doing? The Fiend is one of the best characters in years. You know, Bray Wyatt reinvented himself. Literally reinvented himself to become this character, and WWE buried him. Over the last year and a half, the Fiend was losing constantly. He lost to fucking Goldberg in a jobber squash match and dropped the title in that match, and no one liked that. And then this whole deal with Randy Orton, okay? So come to find out, what ended up happening was, you know, Bray Wyatt basically doesn't want to wrestle at this point. He's really depressed over the loss of Brody Lee. Apparently, these are the backstage reports, okay? No one can confirm, because Bray Wyatt himself has not come out and said this. But apparently, he just doesn't want to wrestle. And he's messed up in the head, and so they wanted The Fiend at WrestleMania. They convinced him to come back, and he was like, well, I'm just going to lose. He's like, I'm just going to pass the torch of this whole supernatural persona to Alexa Bliss, who was another character involved in the plot line with Randy Orton for a while. And he says, I'm just going to pass the torch because I don't want to wrestle. And so basically they've been sitting on Bray Wyatt all year saying not a word about him. We don't know anything about his health, about what's going on between him and WWE. Then all of a sudden today he's released. Out of nowhere. Okay? And it's just crazy because, again, this is one of the biggest talents, one of the best talents in WWE in the last 10 to 15 years. And to see him leave is like, what is going on? And I think a lot of people are quick to judge and say, oh, this is WWE's fault because WWE obviously screwed him over or did something wrong that he would want to leave. We actually don't know what happened. We don't know if we don't know if Bray has decided he's just done with wrestling. He's been gone all year except for WrestleMania. He hasn't wrestled this year. Maybe he really is so devastated by what happened with Brody that he just can't get himself to be back in the right state of mind to be a wrestler. You know? We don't know. Okay? We just don't know. Or maybe he just couldn't agree with management at WWE about what was going to happen moving forward. We don't know. What I can tell you is when Bray came back as The Fiend and he had his Mr. Rogers-like, what were they called? What was it called? It wasn't, Firefly Funhouse is what it was called. Where it was like Mr. Rogers, but it was like a dark, twisted horror twist to it. Those are some of the best things in WWE in the longest time, man. And to see that now be squandered, and basically it was all a waste because it had no culmination, you know? I mean, yes, The Fiend became the WWE champion, or was it the Universal champion? I don't even know. I don't remember. But then they just jobbed him out to Goldberg. Waste of talent, waste of a plot line. And then they job him out to Orton. And it's like, so all the mystique around the character is ruined. This guy was supposed to be he was supposed to be like The Undertaker. He's supernatural. He has powers, and he can pop up at any time, and he can do weird things. And, you know, it was supposed to be scary, like a horror movie. And at first it was really neat. But when they just fucking ruin it more and more and more, man. It's kind of like, you know, I hate to say it, we really don't know the situation. If this was a decision of Bray Wyatt himself, all right, if this was his decision, and he said, I want to leave the company, I just don't want to wrestle for WWE anymore, I just don't want to wrestle at all anymore, then fine, that's okay. But if this is because WWE fucked it up, I mean, this is the last straw for WWE. And I mean that, like, in the last year and a half, they have had so many people released that were talented, and it's not their fault that their talents were squandered. It's WWE's. These are people who at one point were in major plot lines and were incredibly popular, and WWE ruined it, right? They released Fandango. Remember when Fandango was at the top of the company and people were virally doing his dance all across the nation, right? I mean, this is nuts that what they're doing, releasing these. They released Braun Strowman, who was the top of their company for like 4 straight years. He was in high-profile matches. He was the goddamn champion within the last year, and they released him. It just seems to me like they don't know what the fuck they're doing anymore. And I hate to say this, but if you're a talent and if you're into pro wrestling and you want to get to the top, WWE has always been the top. You know what I'm saying? Like, WWE is the top of the mountain. That's the king of the hill. That's where you want to go. That's when you're the most prominent. You get noticed. You get paid the most. People who go to WWE go on to other things. They go on to acting and other careers, right? After they're done with WWE. Or they go to legacy things, or they become commentators, or they do legend contract. You know what I mean? Like, you think, if I'm in WWE, I'm set for life, man. That's where wrestlers want to go. But I don't know if that's the case anymore. I think things have changed in the last couple of years. When you got so much competition, the indie scene is very thriving in pro wrestling right now. All right? You got Ring of Honor, you got Impact, you got New Japan Pro Wrestling, and you've got AEW. 4 big companies, even though they're indie companies, they're nowhere near as big as WWE. They're pretty big in what they're doing. And AEW in particular, in the last year, has exploded in popularity and notoriety. Okay? And I think WWE knows this. But I don't necessarily know if they realize what's going on here. Because when you have an exodus of talent, okay, that's not a good thing. And you might argue, oh, well, WWE will be fine. They have way too much talent as it is. I mean, you're right, but what's going to end up happening is when you have these giant high-profile guys leaving WWE, all right, and going to another promotion, what's going to end up happening is people are no longer going to see WWE as the end game. WWE will be an option, but what's better? Going to a place where maybe you make way less money, but creatively you have control over what's going on. You are happy because the people there like you for who you are, actually appreciate what you do, and you're free to do other ventures. For example, when you work for one of these other companies outside of WWE, you can do sponsorships, you can do other projects, and they don't have to go through WWE. You're free to do those on your own. When you're with WWE, they essentially control your life. I mean that. Like, they actually control your life. They tell you, oh, you want to turn on a live stream and to play games? No, we own that. The only way we're going to allow you to do that is you pay us money to do it. I'm serious about this. There were WWE, talent who were streaming and were outright told by WWE, no, you can't do that unless we approve it and you pay us money from what you're making. Which makes no sense because guess what? WWE does not own its superstars. Those superstars are considered independent contractors. Much like when I was with Machinima and I was an independent contractor. I didn't work for Machinima. I had a contract with Machinima and they paid me a certain amount of money for a certain amount of ad revenue. You see? But they didn't control me or what I did. WWE has no right to control their talent the way they do, but they do it anyway. They literally break the law on a daily basis to control the lives of their talent. But then when it comes to the point where the talent needs help, like for example, let's say someone who worked for WWE for 20 years and finally retired now has health issues, WWE refuses to help them. Oh well, you were just a contractor, you weren't our employee, so we have no obligation to help you with anything. Oh really? But when I worked for you, you controlled my entire life and told me I couldn't go out and make extra money doing side stuff so I would have money to pay for long-term health care. But now that I have the health problems, now you won't help me. And there's been numerous superstars who have sued WWE for that exact reason, saying that it's not fair. The contracts that they hold these people to are completely unfair. Their treatment of employees is unfair because it's not legal what they do. They punish people for things that they shouldn't be able to be punished for because they just feel that they're the top dog and basically, oh well, tough shit. If you don't like it, go somewhere else and make way less money. So, all that being said, all right, WWE used to be, oh, if you come here and you play by the rules, you could be the next John Cena, right? You could be the next Rock. You could be the next Roman Reigns. All you got to do is play by our rules. Do exactly as you're told, and you will make money and be happy for the rest of your life. But I think what people are finally realizing is that that's not the case anymore. WWE basically chews you up, spits you out, and whenever they feel like you're not useful anymore, they fucking release you. They don't even care if you're one of their top guys from the last several years. They'll give two fucks. Oh, we're not useful today. Release them, because they're doing this with a ton of people, and this is ridiculous. Like, never would you imagine, 10, 15 years ago, all of a sudden WWE releases John Cena. WWE releases Chris Jericho. WWE releases Randy Orton. You never would have expected stuff like that. But that's the caliber of these releases that's happening right now. That's the caliber of what's going down. And people are shocked and appalled for very good reason. All right? So, my take is, if WWE stays on this course, okay, I totally feel they are not going to be the number one company anymore. It's going to take a while, don't get me wrong, but you have viable competition out there. In particular, AEW is growing exponentially, both in popularity and profitability, all right? If WWE keeps this up and doesn't find a way to turn things around, I don't think they're going to stay number one anymore. I think they're going to fade into obscurity. I've been saying for years that Vince McMahon, being in charge of WWE and ultimately making these crazy decisions over and over about the things that he's doing, that he needs to be removed, man. Like, seriously. He should not be in charge at all anymore. He needs to move on and have other people who understand the current state of the world, the current state of culture and the fans. They need to step into prominent places of power, and Vince needs to fucking retire. The dude's in his 70s and will not relinquish power of this company. He refuses. He will not pass on the company to his kids or anyone else. He holds all the power. He's like this crazy-ass dictator. Now, to say it's his company, so he's not a dictator, fine, but dude, at some fucking point, you gotta realize you're out of touch. That the shit you're doing is fucking nonsensical, and everyone hates you. Everyone fucking hates Vince now for what he's done in the last couple of years. I just don't understand it. But, I don't know. This is very, obviously, incredibly shocking news in the wrestling world. Everyone's jaw dropped this morning when this news hit. Bray Wyatt has brought us some of the most creative, interesting characters and matches in the last decade, and they got rid of him. Like, what the fuck? We will definitely know more, obviously, once more information is released, and maybe when Bray finally gets a chance to speak out, because I believe there's a 90-day no-compete clause meaning he can't even say shit for 90 days, and then after that he can say whatever he wants. So maybe in 3 months, so what's the last day, July, so August, September, so maybe on Halloween, Bray Wyatt will come out and say, here's what happened. Okay? I don't know. But I guess this is just pretty goddamn shocking. Okay? Shout-outs. Snow Carl tipped me $1.30 and says, my cousin didn't actually call me. I'm trying to comment on your stance about Activision Blizzard, where kids now stop playing it due to frat boy culture and their Cali offices. By your comment, I can only deduct that you separate Call of Duty from Activision. Yes, I do. Absolutely I do. And I'm not saying that I'm never going to play an Activision Blizzard game ever again because of this story breaking or anything about that at all. I'm just saying this year is the year of actual competition for Call of Duty. There's both Battlefield and Halo Infinite coming out, which usually there's zero competition for Call of Duty, and now there's 2 major contenders. So the fact that these stories are coming out right now is really, really bad for them. Really bad for them. Carlton Jr. tipped me $1.30, said it's interesting you put the Game Pass situation in that perspective. Hype-wise, it's kind of like when Netflix originals were hot. Everyone talks about and hypes a new series for a week because everyone has Netflix, good or bad. It's hard to decipher quality. You're right. When you have a subscription-based service and you don't have to pay to get something, when something new comes out, you basically will get hyped for it no matter what. It doesn't even have to be that. Like, I'll be honest, there's shows on Netflix that suck shit, yet people talk about them because they're on there. You know what I'm saying? Like, absolutely. And now it's going to do the same. I feel it's going to do the same thing for games. And again, I'm not saying that the Ascent sucks shit. What I'm saying is I feel we're going to now have this new thing we're going to have to deal with. Every time a game releases under Game Pass, whether it's a huge AAA title or a tiny indie event, we're going to have to hear about it for a week because everyone's playing it on Game Pass and hyping it up and saying it's the best game ever, even if it ain't. Okay? Okay. Snow Carl to me $1.30 and says, do you think the disconnect between you and WWE is due to the fact that they're targeting a younger audience? Wrestling is primarily aimed toward children. That's why many old fans don't seem to agree with some choices. Vince is a genius and made bills. I'm not so sure about that. Like, right now, who in WWE is aimed towards children? Alright? Think about it. Their champions right now, are they aimed towards children? Exactly? John Cena's not the champ. I mean, John Cena just came back. They brought him back after, because now the pandemic, he can get audiences back. But I'm not exactly sure what you're saying is real. Like, maybe if you were talking about the John Cena era, yeah, I would agree with you there. John Cena 100% was a character aimed towards kids. 100% they wanted children watching the product and buying the merch. But if you take a look at the characters that they have in place now, Roman Reigns is definitely not a PC kids kind of character. He's supposed to almost be like a mafia boss. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of only he's a Samoan mafia boss, which is actually a pretty cool plot line. But he's very different from, you're not pushing that to a kid. Definitely, okay. Vendetta says Nikki Ash. Yes. 100% Nikki Ash, a woman portraying a superhero. Yes, that's for kids. Absolutely. But I would argue that not a lot of that stuff is for kids. I mean, we're talking about Bray Wyatt. Are you kidding me? You think The Fiend was for kids? Okay, then. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I told you I had a lot to talk about. Let's take a break. Let's end this pre-stream. All right? So today's stream is very different. We're going to just jump into Game Pass momentarily, and we're going to check stuff out, and we're going to see what's there. We'll probably download a few games, try a few games. It's going to be an exploratory stream today, nothing too serious, but basically a chance for us to go into Game Pass and see what games do you guys want to actually see me play in the next couple of weeks. Okay? Let's do that today. That's what today will be. And then maybe starting Monday, we can actually start doing one of said playthroughs. Okay? Let's take a break. I got to use the bathroom. I'll be back in a few. I recommend you take this opportunity, grab a drink or a snack, use the restroom yourselves, whatever you need to do. And I'll be back shortly with some Game Pass fun. Sound good? All right. I'll see you guys in a few.